It's November 6th, and welcome to episode 107 of the Driving Forward podcast. Whether you're joining us live or listening to one of our 18 platforms, including Wreaths Across America Radio, where we broadcast every Tuesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, we appreciate your support. Next week, we have a great panel reviewing ATRI's top 10 critical issues in transportation. On the panel, we have Brent Boyes, the CEO of Calhoun Companies, Pam Poliak, the CEO of Poliak Trucking, and Rob Pedro Peterson. And I got to call this one out because just if you know Rob, you got to look at him here. I mean, he looks like he's going to rip somebody's head off. Rob, we need to get a better picture of you, brother. That's some crazy stuff. So, but this panel, I think this is a well-rounded panel. Rob's got some great views from the driver perspective, from the brokerage perspective. Both Pamela and Brent have brokerages as well and can represent the small and mid-sized carriers. So I'm excited about that. Brent does a lot in the intermodal space as well. So very excited to talk the ATRI top 10 critical issues in transportation. We were there when they were announced at ATA MCE. Was that last week or the week before? The weeks are all blending together right now. It's that time of year. TIA Technovations kicked off yesterday at the JW Marriott in Phoenix, Arizona. I just keep getting text message after text message from everybody asking if I'm there. I'm not there. I'm not there. Apparently my camera seems to be delayed. I'm not at Technovations, unfortunately. But I guess I'm having a bit of FOMO. So I hope everybody's having a good time. Looks like a good show. Project 61, the Step Up Challenge. If you're not a part of that, look it up, project61.org, or pull it up on LinkedIn, and you'll see the steps there. It is not the same app that it was last year. So now it's on the Off Shift app, and you want to look that up. So once again, project61.org or the LinkedIn LinkedIn site, and pull up the Off Shift app and sign up for it there. It's off to a good start. Lots of people putting in their data. I know I'm sitting, I think, like number 56 out of the 100 that show. If you haven't experienced that Off Shift app yet, and I got to be careful how I say that, it's definitely interesting, and I've been wanting to kind of experience it for some time, and here I go. So we'll have Jeremy and Mark Manera on from Project 61 in a few weeks. Looking forward to that. So the Great Freight Gathering here in Minnesota, part of Freight Movement, coming up Thursday, November 13th at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. We say Minneapolis so we don't confuse people, but St. Louis Park, Minnesota, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. Nice social hour. Appreciate the group that's putting this together. We'll throw up a link in the comments. So it's an Eventbrite link. Just sign up there. We'd love to have people come by and say hi. But November 13th on that one. So every month going forward, we'll have a Freight Movement event in Minneapolis. The crew that's putting this together, they're doing a great job. There's a lot of people signed up for this one, a lot more than the last one at least. So I don't know the exact count, but excited to join everybody there. I'll probably be a little late getting to this one. I think my daughter is testing for her driver's license. And then another one coming up is Trimble Insight. Both myself and Susan Mayo will be in New Orleans coming up. So well, if anyone's going to Trimble Insight, wants to get together, wants to meet, reach out. We'd love to meet with you, love to get together, have dinner. I think we're putting together a dinner one of the evenings, I think Monday night. So if anybody wants to join us, reach out, let me know. And finally, I'm going to announce this. We don't have the video or the graphic together yet, but Freight Movement is putting together a heck of an event, and we've partnered with Venture 53 to do this at Manifest. So imagine 500 people, a speakeasy, an ice bar, some really cool VIP events. So if you're interested in joining us or partnering with us on that, it is locked in, it's done. But we are still building out a few of the details. So reach out to us. There'll be a lot more as we go forward, including some cool videos and promos. So reach out to me on socials, Jenny Malafarina, or anyone else that you know that's associated with Freight Movement, if you're interested in joining us for that after party. It's the first night of Manifest, just like we did last year. Last year, I think we had 218 people. This year, we're going to try to crush that. Actually, we're not going to crush that. We're not going to try. We're absolutely going to crush that with a 500-person venue at a new place in the Venetian. It's just right above the Starbucks as you're coming out of it. So looking forward to that. Okay, on to our stuff. So today we're talking about miles with meaning. On Saturday, December 13th, Americans will pause across thousands of cemeteries to place a single evergreen wreath. They say a single name out loud and remember why those colors don't run. The quiet moment sits on top of a year-round logistics operations. Millions of wreaths, thousands of locations, hundreds of carriers and drivers, moving with precision so remembrance lands on time. Every time. Last season alone, 739 loads were hauled by nearly 400 carriers. And if I'm wrong on this, Courtney is going to call me out. Backed by millions of volunteers who turn intention into action. And this year, Wreaths Across America still has loads open, and an open invitation to the industry that keeps America supplied to also keep America remembering. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to deliver the most important load of the year, this is your time. So today we're talking about how the honor fleet is built, how you can volunteer or haul, and why this mission isn't just a December headline, and how it's a year-round commitment to remember, honor, and teach. So with that, I want to bring on Courtney George and Graig Morin. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So Courtney, you've been on a few times, actually probably one of the more common faces on here.
I'm going to go with popular.
So, yeah, there you go. Popular. I think that's a great one. So I'm gonna have Graig introduce himself first. So Graig, do you want to tell us about yourself and about your company a little bit?
Yeah. So my name is Graig Morin. I am the president and co-founder of Brown Dog Carriers, based out of Biddeford, Maine. We're a company of roughly 30 trucks or so, 40 employees. So we're still on the small side of things, but we're growing each year. We've been in business for 8 years now, and this will be our 9th season with Wreaths. So we're moving on up. We hauled our first load. Well, we got our authority in July and hauled our first load of wreaths for Wreaths Across America that December. And the founder's son, Rob, was basically my second phone call when I got my operating authority. I said, I want to do this and I want to get involved. And so that kind of grew over the years. And now I'm on the board of directors for Wreaths Across America. And Courtney's yes man.
He knows I like to call him with all the problems because he's in Maine. And I'm like, it's easy. You already have a truck up here.
Yeah. I suppose there's probably not a lot of those. Well, you probably know all of them at this point, I would imagine, on who to call in Maine. So, I mean, there's there's probably not that many to call, but you know every one of them at this point. So, Courtney, if you can introduce yourself.
If I haven't met them, I want to meet them.
Yeah, fair enough. So, Courtney, introduce yourself as well.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Courtney George. I am the Director of Transportation and Industry Relations for Wreaths Across America. So I predominantly trucking industry, and many of y'all have probably seen me out at trucking events. We are out talking to carriers, talking to owner-operators, talking to brokers about how they can get involved. There's so many ways to participate, able to give back. That this program allows anyone to really get involved in a capacity that works great for them.
And as far as you getting around, you're everywhere that I am and more. So that's saying something. You anywhere that I go that there's drivers, you're absolutely there, and anywhere that I go that there's lots of trucking companies, you're absolutely there too. So I know I was just cataloging how many places I've bumped into you this year, and I don't even know if I can catalog them all. But I usually bump into you first at Matt's, and then it goes far beyond that. So, so can you, and either one of you can take this one if you want, but give us what Wreaths Across America, and maybe both actually. So let's start with Graig. Tell me what Wreaths Across America is in your words, beyond just the tagline, and what does remember, honor, and teach mean to you in your own words also?
Yeah, so we have the remember, honor, teach, and I do it in remembrance of my grandfather. And I have a trailer dedicated to Wreaths Across America, and I've got pictures of my grandfathers that were in different wars, and my father-in-law who was in Vietnam and passed away from illnesses from that, and so it's a remembrance to those folks and all of our veterans, and in honor of them as well. And then we have the teach piece of things, and trying to teach our kids. The value of our freedom and how we got those freedoms. I have 3 school-aged kids. We get their schools involved with Wreaths Across America. We have a special day at one of our cemeteries for school students to come and lay wreaths at that cemetery on a Friday instead of the Saturday, just kind of mix it up a little bit. Then they help us clean up as well. We've had the mobile education exhibit at our schools, and this year for the second time, or I think it's 3 or 4 times now, actually, they've come to our city over the years. But they will be stopping at the Biddeford Middle School this year for part of the first full day of the convoy, or second day. So that's really important to me, is to teach the kids. I enjoy doing that, and honoring, and there's just so much that goes into it all year round. So it's hard to, for me, there's never an issue of forgetting, because we're always working at it somehow, some way. So
right. So, Courtney, do you want to give in your own words what Wreaths Across America is to you?
Wreaths Across America for me it's a life and it's a mission. It's not just my employer, it's my opportunity to support our military, to support our veterans, to support and thank those that came before me, and those that will come after me. It's a way of showing my patriotism while still being able to help people. It's something that is, it's kind of hard to put into words when I say, you can say it's a labor of love, but it truly is something that, as you get out there and you talk to people and you meet and you see what we do and how it touches so many people, to Greg's point, having the mobile education exhibit out in the community, teaching people about what we do, but also teaching them that we are more than just, a organization that pops up and is like a, Fortune 500 come December. That's definitely not what we are. I mean, we are working year round to help veterans. I have seen, our organization and our founder take a gentleman and drive him, a veteran that needed to get home and had been hurt, pick him up in Florida and drop him off in Maine. Making those things and doing those things throughout the year. There are so many things that we do that few people don't know about. We're known for, placing wreaths, but it's also about, partnering throughout communities and bringing healing and bringing awareness and really teaching people and children especially about freedom.
Those are great topics. I mean, the foundation of it on the remember, honor, teach, and how I think, Graig, you talked about your school age children. We've been involved with Wreaths for some time, and taking the kids out and following through that. It's talking through that day. I mean, obviously, I'm going to get into this in a little bit about how it's not just a day. So that's something I talk a lot about. But you want to talk about, and Courtney, I'll have you pick this one up first. Can you talk about what a Wreaths Across America Day morning might look like for someone at a local cemetery, and just call it the average scenario, not the Courtney George scenario. So
absolutely. So the average day or morning of Wreaths Across America, most every location is going to have a ceremony that starts at 12 o'clock noon Eastern, so 11 Central, 10 Mountain, 9 Pacific. And we have a ceremony with the hopes of wreath laying happening in unison. It's not a period of mourning. It's definitely a celebratory event. You've got, people from all walks of life that show up. I tell people I was laying wreaths in Arlington one year and looked over, and 2 headstones over was the Supreme Court justice that was just out there as a member of the public. So this is an event for everyone to be able to come and participate in and, stand through a ceremony. It's not but about 10 or 15 minutes. And then truly get to understand the meaning of Wreaths Across America, saying the name, the importance of saying the name when you place that wreath. They say a person dies twice, once when they take their last breath and the second time when their name is said last. So we are truly out there remembering. And it's such a great opportunity for fellowship. You're going to see kids that are out there and place a wreath on a headstone, and what they don't see until after it's done is the family of the loved one that walks up behind them, and they get to learn about the person that they just placed a wreath for. That is something that's so powerful that I don't think I could ever get it out of my head, is being able to see that, having that, opportunity. It's the one time this country is not, it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, none of that matters. What matters is that everyone is there and showing up for our veterans. And that's what I love the most, is this is something that spans far past politics. You are here and we are placing the wreaths, and you see those special moments with families that are sharing about their loved one. And that makes all the hard work that happened, and every one of the more than 5,500 location coordinators that work tirelessly to make, their ceremony and their, each location having process. They're out there, and it is awesome. Like, just to see it happen, and it's beautiful.
I agree. It's a humbling experience, and there's a sense of honor being out there. But Greg, do you have some things to add to that?
Yeah. So I started off our first load of wreaths that we did went to Morin National Cemetery in Massachusetts, and we went down there the day of. We stayed for the ceremony and had volunteers help us unload the truck. And I was instantly floored by the fact of how many people were there to help unload and how good of a feeling it was to do that. And then how humbling it is to lay a wreath on somebody's resting place and say their name. And something you can't even describe it. It's just, it was a neat experience because I had never done it before. That, the first load of wreaths we hauled, first time I ever laid a wreath in a place I didn't really know. And so fast forward a few years during COVID, we decided we would do our cemeteries here in the city of Biddeford. We have 5 of them. And it started off, I was going to just lay a wreath on my grandfather's, and he's in the veteran section. So I said, I'll do the veteran section. And then it was, well, I can't just do that because there's another 1,000 veterans inside the cemetery. So we'll do the cemetery, and then it was turned into 5 cemeteries. So my first year here in Biddeford doing it and hitting that local, people I knew that were coming out, and even people I don't know, but in the thank yous and the happiness and the joy that people had in that. And we had gotten that first year, we got about 2 feet of snow the day before. And we had put orange markers, landscape markers on every grave. So I was out there with a backpack blower. There was a few of us, and we were trying to blow leaves. We were blowing snow so people could find where the veterans were laid to rest. But everyone came out. And this was during COVID, and there was, don't tell the local health officials, but there was many more than what were supposed to be there. And but it worked out great. The kids had a blast, and they were learning, and and playing in the snow. It was just all kinds of neat stuff. It was a lot of fun, and it's humbling as it is, and it's fun, and it's 1 minute you could be crying, the next minute you're laughing. You go through all the emotions for sure.
Absolutely. No, I agree completely. And the one thing that I don't hope, the one thing I try to pray that doesn't happen on Wreath Day, and I'm from Minnesota, is extremely cold, lots of snow. So, as long as it's not extremely cold and lots of snow, we're good. So, but yeah, outside of that.
That was
what's that, Court?
Nor'easter year that hit all northern states, 2020.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were all out there.
Yep. Those makes it a little bit more of a difficulty, I would say. So, but otherwise, the snow makes it a little bit more serene, I would say. But certainly, this last year had a different. So once again from Minnesota, so we're at Fort Snelling typically, and I'm always humbled by how many people are there. So, so for a first time, so Greg, for a first time carrier, and Courtney, maybe this. So how was it for you to get set up? Now you said you've been doing this for 8 or 9 years. Was it pretty easy to kind of get things going for you there? I mean, it wasn't a big commitment to wind up.
It might have been 5 minutes of time. It's a pretty fast process. It's somebody's gonna vet you, of course, but for a carrier, you're talking a couple emails back and forth, and you're set up and ready to go. So it's a pretty simple process.
Okay. And Courtney, do you want to add anything onto that? I mean, do they reach out to you or?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach out to me. I'm really easy to get a hold of. You can send me messages on LinkedIn. you can email me at cgeorge@wreathsacrossamerica.org. I normally take about 5 minutes to talk to you just so I get a better understanding of your business and how we can make this work for you. We send you a link to register. It just has 4 tabs. They don't ask a lot of questions. We're just trying to get everything set up, like contact information, things of that nature, finding out the type of equipment you have. And when I say type of equipment, I'm talking about, do you have a 53-foot drive-in? Do you have a 48-foot Conestoga? Things of that nature, right? So I can play Tetris on my end and make sure everything fits. And so we make it really easy. We want people to enjoy partnering with us. That for us is really important. And so, I'm always open to learning more, but, the only thing that stops me from participating is truly them not reaching out.
Sure. And Greg, how many loads do you typically move for Wreaths now?
I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 all combined with, we help out with getting loads to other carriers. So, we do a bunch of stuff, and I think this year we're in the neighborhood of 15 loads.
Okay. Wow. And so you're still doing the ones in your local town. So you have that local footprint, and you kind of keep it in the geographic area then as well, or are you running stuff longer?
So we have a load going down to Arlington. We are part of the convoy.
Okay.
So we do go down there, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire. We've got some stuff for Worcester Wreath out of, I think there's one in South Carolina. There's a bunch all over, and the office right behind me, they've got all that info. Me, I'm just saying,
sure.
Just tell them to say yes and get it done.
Yeah. Just wherever Courtney needs.
Yeah,
I was going to say, Jeff in his office, sometimes somewhere within the week of Wreath Day shudders if he sees my name pop up on his cell phone, like either a text or I'm calling. He's like, no, this is not going to be good. But it's always fun. That's the best part. And that's what I love about working with Brown Dog is Greg's not going to say no. We're going to work together to figure out how to make it happen. I mean, I give him a lot of credit. Last year, we were at the Vet Ready Summit. We had a multi-stop PA load that was not going to make it. The driver couldn't get there. And Graig went and picked it up, loaded it, started. We were in DC standing there, I think at the Green Turtle, and between he and David Pike at NFI, Graig literally let NFI take his trailer and all those wreaths got delivered. And that's the beauty of trucking, and that's the beauty of this industry and what we do, are those stories that are like, Graig is so ingrained into what we do. David Pike at NFI, everybody knows, is a veteran, was a Marine, and Pike's not going to let it fail either. And so watching us work together to make that happen, Graig gets a lot of credit for what he does. He should. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't always get enough for me, but
no,
definitely try.
And you know what? That scenario, that was actually a lot of fun. We were just sitting around, shooting the breeze around the table, having some drinks with a whole bunch of us, and when Courtney called, and it just all the stars aligned just right, and that's when you're in a great industry, when 2 trucking executives can sit there and say, I'm going to let you borrow my trailer. Can you help us out with this project? And he made a phone call, and it was done. I think we had that wrapped up inside of an hour. That we had a plan. We knew what we were going to do, and our truck was on the way to go get it loaded. And and we're talking Wednesday or so. Might have been Thursday before. So we're still, even though we're in Maine, we're still 3 hours away from
right
across America. So you're the time you get loaded, you're 7 or 8 hours into your day by the time you just get back here. So, any of those moves need to happen fast. And luckily now versus when I first started, we've got enough drivers that we can shuffle around the mix and kind of make things happen, at the 11th hour.
No, that's a great story where everybody kind of comes together to make it happen, and it bridges a couple of companies, and it's a testament to on relationships. It goes beyond, everywhere. We were all at ATA here recently. I flew from ATA to Broker Carrier Summit. Everywhere you go, it's all about relationships, and if you don't have those, you can't get it done. And this organization is largely about those relationships. If you don't have that relationship, we're not finishing this mission, and the organization continues to build because of those relationships. So it's good to see that happen, and then it extends beyond just the singular mission of the day to the full mission of the year. Obviously, Graig, you've probably made many contacts throughout working with Wreaths throughout the years, I'm sure, and that's probably furthered your business as well. So
yep.
We're going to go to break here real quick. When we come back, we're going to talk about continuing to build the honor fleet, all the different types of logistics that's involved. I want to go into Graig's story a little bit further as well. And if anyone has any comments, questions, anything like that, I know you're out there. I can see you watching. Feel free to fire in a few questions for Courtney or Graig. We'd love to hear from you, but we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
If your fleet's downtime looks like chaos, you're missing out on GLCS. In the time-critical world of trucking and logistics, every minute counts. Meet GLCS, your expert partner in managed IT and technology services. We integrate seamlessly with your team, bringing seasoned IT professionals with deep trucking and logistics expertise. Imagine your software updates running smoothly, complex issues resolved quickly, and operations humming with efficiency. GLCS has your back. Our support doesn't just fix problems, it prevents them with our industry connections and proactive approach. We keep your trucks rolling and your brokers working. Think of us as the added resource your company needs to unleash its full potential. Visit glcs.net today and keep your business driving forward. GLCS, where efficiency meets expertise.
Every generation, every sacrifice. Our nation's service members have stood up for our freedom, our families, and our future. Now it's our turn to stand up for them. This year, you can honor their service in a deeply personal way by sponsoring a $17 Veterans Wreath. Each wreath is more than a symbol. It's a heartfelt tribute to the heroes who served and to the families who carry their legacy. Visit wreathsacrossamerica.org to sponsor a wreath today. This isn't just a wreath. It's a personal gift to an American hero.
And we are back. All right. So let's start off with the 12-month cycle here. Let's talk about what you end up doing year-round, Courtney. So obviously it all kind of comes down to one day and getting everything to where it needs to be in a one-day period. But you're working on this all year round, and I know that you're working hard because every time I walk up to you, you're on the phone moving and shaking. So let's talk about what your year looks like.
My year looks like, and I'll be honest, right after wreath laying day, that afternoon, I sit down and I spend about 4 or 5 hours going through what went great, what I want to see be better next year, what I could do different, or identifying some problems or areas that we've got transportation sector to work on. That to me is really important. And it literally starts, the planning for the next year starts that afternoon. But we spend a year going through, we are adding locations. I stopped asking numbers at 5,500 this year. I just didn't want to know. Because that means more loads. We added more loads last week, which is like the best problem for us to have. But it's also a mission about talking to people as we are growing. We have to change, and we have to change what we do and how we operate to meet the needs of trucking companies and how they're operating. When I started in this industry 20 years ago, you could get a driver that would want to go from Maine to California. Now that is absolutely not going to happen.
Yeah.
Don't ask, because you already know the answer. But, now what we're looking at is, even from when I started 3 years ago, where we were looking at 5 to 7, stops on a load. Now I'm talking about 8 to 12 stops, and having conversations where you don't have to physically unload it. I understand that it's a lot of stops. They should only take 30 minutes to an hour per stop. And really educating people, especially after, I'm going to say, the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts. A lot of families didn't want to inter their loved ones far away, and sometimes the closest national cemetery is a couple hours away. They wanted to keep them home in their own community. And so I think that's really important, as we adjust and talk and have conversations with carriers. And so every year we grow, right? So every year my job is to find more carriers, to get more capacity, to be more creative than I was the year before. It takes all walks of life and transportation, planes, trains, automobiles, all of that has to happen. And so we, using all of that, and it's really a planning phase. After a location gets more than 10 boxes, I'm trying to put it on a truck. And so how are we doing that? How are we adjusting? For example, Guam this year, we're going to send the wreaths out of Stockton instead of out of Long Beach. That adjusts how we have it, but we found a refrigerated facility that can hold it there. So that gives the wreaths the best chance of being fresh and crisp and looking great going into a very tropical place. We all know what it's like to put it on a container. Thankfully, Matt donates a refrigerated container, but it takes all types of people and all types of flexibility to make this work. Did the wreaths get, last year wreaths got stuck in customs. This year there's a new FIDO form. We are working year round to get all of those barriers out. And I'm working year round to carriers. How can you integrate this into your ERG groups or VGR groups, depending on what you want to call it? How do you identify, what are you doing? How are you identifying veterans and people who want to participate? How can this work for your business? And most importantly, what is important to you, how I make it so that what's important to you works. I've got to, change things on my end so that it works for a carrier. And so there is a lot of plug and play throughout the whole year to make all of that happen. And then, in about a 3-week period, we have gotten Swan Lake ready to go. We're ready to do it. And then beautiful Swan Lake-esque. I know Greg's looking at me like I'm crazy, but it is truly a performance that happens.
Yeah.
It happens because of people. I mean, I can't do it without Greg. I have Greg in the driver's lounge with me for a week or two, helping out. Like, we are working, and what can we do to make that driver experience the absolute best? hey, we switched to pickup windows this year. We're trying different things, and we realize what worked great, what doesn't work great, and making those adjustments all year round and making sure we're adjusting with all the federal regulations. That's really important.
No, I appreciate that insight there too. Some of my questions were about, the scope of the logistics. I'm going to post a comment up here real quick before we get into something else. So Missy says, both my uncle and grandpa are buried at Fort Snelling in Minnesota, and it was such an honor to place wreaths on their grave, as well as other veterans throughout the cemetery. I look forward to being a part of this every year.
Awesome, Missy. We love that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's part of the reason why we do what we do.
Yep. So, one of the questions I had was, what sort of logistics are you going through to get there? And you're kind of hitting everything, trains, planes, and automobiles. So, trucks. So what is the shelf life of a wreath?
It depends on the temperature. So the wreaths are all made fresh, and they're made in Maine. There's shockingly a lot of science behind it. Each tree is fertilized each year. And most importantly, we don't cut trees down to make wreaths. They become skinny. They get what's called tipped. And then they will grow out for the next 3 years before they can even be tipped again. I think that's something that's really important. The shelf life is, I want them to be cold. If they're in a dark, cold place, they last longer. They are fresher. It really does make a difference. So it's interesting. You mentioned Fort Snelling, right? And so the day that you pick up in Fort Snelling is very different the day that you're picking up, in, say, Houston National Cemetery. That's partially because of the shelf life of the wreath. It all comes down to, do we have the perfect conditions? Is it going to be, are they being held somewhere that's cold versus, Florida, where they're not going to look great for the longest amount of time. Right. But, they pick up in Sarasota, typically somewhere around the 10th of January. And so they've been out for, 2 to 3 weeks at that point, and they're ready to be retired. But, those wreaths go through a lot. I mean, people don't think about it. I'm like, those little itty bitty needles on the balsam, they are very, delicate, but they make it, and those wreaths get there, and they are beautiful every year. We've worked hard. Our vendor has made such an effort to make sure that wreath is fresh. They've even changed the shape of their boxes to octagons. They used to be in squares and, in octagonal boxes. I'm sure more expensive to produce, right, but it keeps the wreath in that circular, shape. And that's important to them, that when the wreath comes out and it kind of fluffs up, that it's in that circular shape.
No, I would imagine so. Actually, I didn't realize. When did the octagon box come out?
2 years?
Last year, I think, was the first year. Yeah.
Yes, when we get them, I don't usually get that close to them. They usually have them all broken out by then. So, so looking at the time, let's talk about what you still need help with in a big way this year.
Absolutely. I will say there are 2 things. I still have loads that I need to cover. And also, maybe you can't cover a load, but donate a wreath for a veteran. You won't regret that $17 donation. It is, yes, we're a 501c3. Make a donation, donate a wreath, honor a veteran. If you can't, haul a load, volunteer on that day to go place a wreath. It'll change your life.
I agree to that entirely. So, anyone watching who doesn't even move freight, we get a few of those people. So actually more than I ever thought. and when we go out to Fort Snelling, there are companies that obviously aren't involved in transportation, but that particular cemetery has a lot of stones, gravestones that don't get wreathed. So, and it's a challenge. It needs more. So certainly, you can select which cemetery you want the wreath to be placed at. Correct? I mean, that can be done.
Absolutely. You can select one of the 5,500 locations. Or if you don't want to select one, you can just donate a wreath and that'll go into the general fund. And what's cool about that is it helps us when I go, hey, we're 5,000 wreaths away from full coverage for this community. And if we have that many sitting around that we can do that, I'm booking another truck and sending it there. I saw what, that ability did to Little Rock, Arkansas, and how special that was and what it really meant to the community. So you can select one of the 5,500 locations, or if you don't care where it goes, put it to the general fund. We will put it somewhere that is of good use.
No, that's awesome, and that's a great reason why you would just put it to a general fund is to just cap off the cemeteries that need them. So, Graig, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your story? You said Brown Dog's 8 years old, going on 9 years. Where did you come from before that? What's kind of your origin story?
Yeah, so started off, I got out of high school, really didn't want to do the college deal. Drove some buddies out to Arizona for their college career and said, I could drive for a living. This is all right. Stopping at the truck stops, and they used to have the little books with all the ads in it.
I remember those.
Yeah, so I was like, what, I'm going to be a truck driver. So I went home and told my parents I wanted to be a truck driver. The following week I'm in trucking school and quickly got into a company that was an LTL company, loaded trucks while I was in trucking school, and they gave me the opportunity to kind of be the yard jockey while I was learning. And I won't forget those days. They were real small doors, and the parked trailers inside, and it was miserable to get them in there. And of course, I was just learning how to drive a truck. So there was times where my buddies would be on the loading dock, just kind of sitting there, tapping their foot, waiting for me. And so moving up from there, got my license. I worked for a lot of different truck companies in the Northeast. I never really left the Northeast. I stayed pretty much local, regional a little bit. And before I started the company, 7 years prior, I worked for a heavy haul company doing towing, rigging, and moving heavy equipment. Loved that job, but as I was getting older, and I had always wanted to start a company. And over there, I had to be on call, here and there, and it was driving me nuts. And it's like, it's either do it now or you're not going to do it. I was, in my late 30s at that point. So started this in 2017. And I remember the day I handed my boss the keys, and he's still a friend of mine. And I talk to him often, and I remember that moment saying, "Oh, now what do I do?" Because we didn't have our authority yet. We were working on it, but it's hard. You got to get everything in the right place. So I went a month with just focusing on getting Brown Dog set up, and I was relying on the government to actually do what they said. And lo and behold, they actually did. So they had told me a week before when my authority was going to be active and when I would get the email with the official letter. And so I called a broker. Now I had already gotten I had 2 trucks. I had a driver for one. I was in the other for the first week. And I called a broker, and she was local from Central Maine. And she goes, "Oh, I can't really book your truck because you don't have your authority." I was like, "Can you give us a chance?" I said, "They said by 7 a.m. I am going to have this on this day." And she goes, "If you want to take the chance." So we sent the truck up to get loaded. We was sitting outside the gate at 6:59. I got the note at 7:05. The first forklift hit our trailer for the first load.
Wow.
And I said, and my business partner had no idea what my plan was, but I didn't really have an idea of what my plan was. We were just shooting from the hip in the beginning. And, we kept on with her. She kept giving us loads. And it started kind of small, and it was word of mouth. I only made like one cold phone call to try and get a customer, and they kind of brushed me off. And, now we're in there hauling every day. Our biggest contract comes from a friend of mine who was a driver for that company. He asked his boss, said, "Hey, a friend of mine has a couple trucks, would like to haul for us if you could use some help." And they give us a load here, load there, and now we're doing 30 loads a day for that particular customer. So
That's awesome.
it's just kind of growing and proving your worth to your customers. And we've had all of our customers since just about the beginning. So we don't rely on brokers anymore. That kind of got done maybe a month or two into our operations. We had all of our own customers. So it's been growing slow. And of course, we're in this sort of slump that we've been in for 2 years, 3 years. But we've been able to grow a little bit in it. Not as we grew real fast right before this, and then it just kind of evened off, and which is fine. We're over here holding our own, and I like to fly under the radar a little bit, and it's working. We have a good team. So
the fact that you started in 2017, you're at 30 trucks, you're running customer freight, not sitting in spot market. I've been doing this a long time. So I started driving in the mid 90s, and I've been running trucking companies since the late 90s, and run big companies, run little companies. And I'll tell you, there aren't too many guys that start in 2017 that are running zero broker freight or very little broker freight today, that I talk to. And I talk to a lot of companies that say we're holding our own right now. So
Yep.
Kudos to you for that. So
Thank you.
a lot of them are saying, ouch.
Yeah.
So
mercy.
yeah. So
we see that a lot. We have a lot of owner operators that come to us, and we have a few that we put on, to help with our overflow, and and I feel bad for them. We treat our guys well, but I know that there's some that they're this is what the market suggests, and some of these prices I see, they're not even worth turning your truck on for that. So that's why I'm very glad to have the freight we have. When COVID hit, everyone's prices went sky high. I stayed the same with all my customers. There was no gouging going on, none of that. And now that we're on the opposite side of that, they're treating me just like I treated them. So it's more of partnerships than it is customers per se. We're all partners in this together. They need a product to move, we can move it. And that's just how it goes. And same thing with all of our drivers. They're just a member of the team. We're all partners in this. One can't do it without the other. So we all need to be one big happy family, so to speak.
And one final question for you, and I'm sure I'm going to be calling out to you to come on for other panels and whatnot in the future. But why Brown Dog Carriers as a name?
My favorite story of all. So I had when I met my wife, she had this wonderful dog. Her name was Lily, and she had been going to like doggy daycare. When I first met my wife, she was living elsewhere, and I said, "Could I bring the dog to work with me? Save a few bucks, and I'll have a friend." And so I brought the dog every day to work, and that was local, so I was home every day, and every day for better part of 500,000 miles or more, she was with me. She would go to customers and get Christmas presents. She was the talk of the town. So when I was naming this company, she sat next to me, and I was petting her. I said, "Hey, Brown Dog," and it was just like an epiphany. It was just this. That was the name. And I called my business partner up, and I told my wife, she's like, "Wow, that's a good name." My business partner, wow, we can market that really well. He's thinking of a marketing thing and logos, and they wanted something different, and I wanted something to stick out because I knew I was going to be the little guy, but I needed something to stick out, and people would be recognizable. So, if I just named it after myself and my last name, I'm just going to fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
And so if I do something and I can market it and make logos and keychains and all the stuff, people are going to remember me, and it's just how it worked out.
And there's a certain someone that maybe you'll watch or we'll cut a clip for off of this, but that will give me a bunch of crap about it. But this industry does love dogs, so you put a dog on something, and how many drivers are running, and I'm pretty sure somebody else is laughing about that right now too. So, but the long story, if you ever get me aside, ask me that question. So it's actually kind of a funny story, but the reality of it is, put a dog on the side of a truck, and you're gonna have something to talk about. You got, like you said, do you have brown dog keychains for your trucks?
We sure do.
There you go.
Yeah, you name it, we probably have it. We've had speakers, we've had dip trays, we've had all of it.
Yeah, fair enough. So, fair enough. All right. Well, last thoughts on this episode. I appreciate it. We love doing the Wreaths episode every year, and but what do we have to say in closing? Graig, let's start with you. Kind of going back on topic with Wreaths Across America. What do you want to cap with?
Yeah, if you're a carrier, large or small, I started with 2 trucks at Wreaths Across America, and they had a load for me. And they're such wonderful people to work with. And the chances of you getting to see me if you go up to main and load is very good. So, why wouldn't you want to come up, try us out. Try Wreaths Across America. You'll never look back. You'll want to keep coming and doing it. It's just that amazing of an experience all the way around, from the pickup to the tours that we give up there to the deliveries, and how grateful people are. It's not every day in trucking where you can go to a place where somebody's happy to see you. This is that one day that you're going to get where everyone you see is happy that you're there. So do it. You'll be humbled. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll smile, and you'll see other people doing the same. And it's a wonderful feeling. So get involved. And even if you're not, like Courtney said, volunteer at your local cemeteries, find one nearby.
Perfect. Courtney, what do you have?
Most importantly, thank you. Thank you to you and everyone at GLCS, but also thank you to this industry. We often don't hear thank you enough. We don't hear that you did a great job. And Wreaths Across America is the true epitome of the trucking industry succeeding at what we do and what we do best. And so from the bottom of my heart, and over 3 million veterans that can't say thank you, this year, we want to say thank you to everyone who has supported this mission, whether it's hauling a load, whether it's donating a wreath. It takes everyone, and this industry makes us look great every year, but it can't happen without each and every one of you.
Perfect. Well, with that being said, I appreciate you both coming on. The hour went by very quickly as usual. And I hope to see you all soon. Graig, the next time you're at any industry conference, definitely. I missed out meeting you at ATA. I think you bumped into one of our folks there, but yeah. Absolutely would love to meet you in person next time I get a chance. So
I'll be looking for you.
But real quick, Courtney, where can people find you?
Really easy. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name's Courtney George. You can shoot me an email. It's cgeorge@wreathsacrossamerica.org. You can give me a call. It is 336-471-7555.
And Graig, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Morin at browndogcarriers.com or Morin at wreathsacrossamerica.org. However you want to reach me, you can find me there.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you very much. And you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you.
All right. We move freight every day, but this load is different. This one is about making sure every veteran's name gets said and every veteran's grave gets a wreath. No one skipped because a truck didn't show or a site didn't have the funds. And so that's the promise. One truck becomes a convoy. One community becomes thousands. And on December 13th, you'll see families, drivers, and veterans shoulder to shoulder making good on it. If you can sponsor, volunteer, or haul, you help close that gap so every hero is remembered. That's remember, honor, teach. So let's finish that mission. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation. Thanks for watching.